just in the past 45 to 60 days, online sales in e-commerce have risen 146%. So while the J. Crews, the Neiman Marcuses, and potentially thousands of brick and mortar universities are on the verge of going bankrupt, online sales are exploding. And that is something, that is a trend that is not going to change. Hey everybody, welcome. Rob Kosberg here from Bestseller Publishing. Super excited to be with you, recording as always. Everybody say hello. We got a bunch of folks on here today, so excited to be with you. I think I have a good topic for you. Today we're going to talk about why now is an absolute amazing time to be writing your book, and the absolute best thing that you can and should be doing with your book. I'm going to give you some statistics to start, and some of them are a little bit grim depending on which side that you're on. But I was reading, I don't know if you know who Mike Rowe is. He's the Dirty Jobs guy. By the way, a fantastic writer and storyteller, somebody that you should follow. And Mike was referencing an article that he recently read, talking about the changes that are coming to universities because of what's being discovered during COVID. And they are predicting in the next 10 years, we're going to see hundreds and probably thousands of universities around the country closing. Now, I have thought that even before the crazy time that we're in right now, but I do believe that this has expedited that process, because so many people are now discovering how maybe poor the education system is, and also how overpriced university and college is. Now, I have two children that are out of university. One has a degree in math and physics and works for JPL as a scientist, and he used his degree in a great way. I have a bachelor's. In fact, I got my diploma sitting on the ground somewhere over there, recently unpacked it. But I have a bachelor's in political science. I know that's very exciting. I can teach probably middle school or high school history with that. Other than that, there's not much that I can do with it. I've never worked in my degree, and actually, statistically, a high number of people have never worked in their degree. Now, that's not to say that college and university, when I went, and even today when people are going, is not something that is impacting and helpful, et cetera. But it tends to be massively overpriced for what people actually get out of it. And because of the nature now and this recent shift toward learning online, I do think that kind of a straw has been added that, you know, may break potentially, proverbially, the camel's back, the straw that breaks the camel's back, as they say. So you have all of these universities that are going to be potentially closing. Recently, just this past week, in fact, it was announced that J. Crew and Neiman Marcus filed for bankruptcy, two massive retailers. On the bubble right now, on the bankruptcy bubble, are JCPenney's, Forever 21, GNC, Joann's, David's Bridal, many, many, many other really large retail shops that were kind of pushed over the edge due to what's going on in the world. There's no question that people are spending less money right now. However, just in the past 45 to 60 days, online sales in e-commerce have risen 146%. So while the J. Crews, the Neiman Marcuses, and potentially thousands of brick and mortar universities are on the verge of going bankrupt, online sales are exploding. And that is something, that is a trend that is not going to change. Now, maybe it'll flatten out a little bit as retail stores open back up and restaurants open back up. But there is no question that people have discovered, you know what? I mean, look at what, just keep your eyes on what's going to happen in commercial real estate over the next 2 or 3 years, because people are discovering, you know what? We don't necessarily need to have a commercial real estate space. We can all be productive and work virtually. They're learning that when it comes to education, and certainly people who never shopped online before are beginning and have embraced shopping online because they don't have an alternative right now with stores being closed. So why announce all of these statistics? Because writing your book right now, or having your book right now, having access to Amazon, the largest seller of books by a factor of 10 in the world, that sells over 1 million ebooks every single day, that allows for online shopping, means that your book, and not just your book, because I don't want you to stop right there, and that's going to be the kind of the second main part of what I'm going to share with you. Your book, your content needs to be available, not in bookstores, but online, where people are accessing it, where people can type in a keyword, find you, learn about you, buy your book, buy your content. People are moving away, and certainly during this time, people have moved away from brick and mortar. They've been forced to. But even after this forceful moving away from it, you're going to see a continued growth in online sales, as has been over the last decade anyway. So what I want to talk to you about is why writing your book is not the place to stop, but the place to begin. It's not the end point of your content creation journey. It is your beginning point of your content creation journey. And I want to share with you a few different steps that I believe that you should be taking, not just in the process of writing your book, but after your book is written, so that you can capitalize on what's going to be happening in the world and what is already happening in the world from today and moving forward. And that is courses, online, e-learning, and e-commerce is absolutely exploding, while everything else is beginning to sink and beginning to die. And look, I love going out to Barnes and Nobles and going out to bookstores as much as the next guy. But when they closed the one that was in Pasadena about 3 years ago, I thought, you know what, when Pasadena, as much foot traffic and as big a city as it is, can't support a Barnes and Noble profitably, then you know what, this is not a trend that is happening in the future. It's one that's happening right now. So we need to be prepared, and that means we need to think in terms of what we can do to position ourselves to sell everything that we have, all of our content, in such a way that we can make an impact through the e-learning platforms and through e-commerce. So I want to give you 3 things that you need to be thinking of, and I want to give you some examples. So the first step, of course, is writing the book. I'm not even going to talk about that. Your book is the starting point, right? This is the beginning of it for you. It's not the end point. In the past, people used to finish their book and think, wow, finally, maybe eventually I'll start on book number 2. And I'm here to tell you, no, 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 no. The content that you have in your book is just the starting point for what people want from you. So that's not the end. When you're done with the book, that's not the end to your content creation. That's just the beginning of it. So here are 3 things that you need to keep in mind that I believe are steps to success for what we see in the world right now and where the world is absolutely going. Number 1 is, in the creation of your book, always create your book with the idea in your mind that you're going to create additional content from your book, okay? So let me word that in a better way. Create a book with creating additional content in mind, okay? So what does that mean? Well, when I wrote Publish, Promote, Profit, and I talked to you guys about the different ways that you can set up, for example, your table of contents. And one of the ways that I talk about is segmentation by content. And so even my title, Publish, Promote, Profit, alludes to the fact that the content is segmented in a certain way based on wherever you're at in the process. There are plenty of people that come to me with their book already written, and now they want to promote it successfully. Now they want to profit from it. Plenty of people that come to me without anything written, and they need help from the beginning part of the process. If you are writing something, now I know that this doesn't apply to somebody writing poetry or somebody writing a children's book, but some of the things I share with you are applicable, some are not. If you're writing something for your business, for your profession, for your expertise, then try to write in a way where you can create additional content from that. Now, all of you should create an audio book. from your book's content. Everybody can do that, okay? Doesn't matter if you're writing nonfiction or fiction, everybody can create an audio version of your book. That's number one. But number two, most of us can create a workbook from our book as well. So you want to think in terms of how can I take the content in a way and create a workbook. In fact, I created 3 workbooks from Publish, Promote, Profit. I have a publish workbook, a book promotion workbook, and I have a book profit workbook. You can do the exact same thing. So if you are segmenting your content in a way that, let's say people, remember that teaching that I give of, people are looking at this mountain, this problem that they have in front of them, right? And the promise is you're going to help them get over this mountain, but there's a process you're taking them through. Well, if that segments out in some type of way for you to create multiple workbooks, then do that. If it's one workbook, then do it that way. Either way is absolutely fine. So audiobook, workbooks, what other additional content can you create from it? I'm going to share a couple of different ideas, but you should always think in terms of wherever your strengths lie. If you like to be on video, and even if you don't, you should try, right? Try it before you hate on it. But, people like video. People love repurposed content. So you should find a way to take your book and create additional content from it. And if you can have that in mind in the creation process of it, then it's going to be easier for you. That's number one. Number two is find a way to repurpose the content that's already in your book. Now, I alluded to that a moment ago. To repurpose the content in it means that you take the exact same content and you repurpose it perhaps in a video series. People love to learn through different modalities, right? Someone will pay more for a video series of you teaching the exact same thing that you teach in the book, but you have slides now, right? Or you have case studies where you can show, examples of the successes that people have experienced, maybe before and after photos, or maybe, increases in revenue, or whatever it is that your magic power is. If you can somehow take that from the pages of a book and put it on video, people love that, and they will pay more for that than they will for the book itself. I already mentioned audio, so an audio version of the book, but not just an audio version of the book itself. What about some type of audio course? What about something where, in the past, before we did webinars, we did teleseminars. Some people still like to just listen rather than watch because that's the type of learner that they are. So think in ways that you can repurpose the content of your book. I recently did, as many of you are a product of that, and thank you for your trust in me and BSP, but I recently did a 7-day challenge that lasted 10 or 11 days, right? What was that 7-day challenge? It was a repurposing. The 7-day challenge was called the Publish, Promote, Profit Challenge, but it was high value because I gave multiple case studies. I taught for 90 minutes a day. I brought guest experts on, but all I really did was I repurposed my content in a video form in the form of a challenge. So be creative in thinking, how can I repurpose my book in a way that deepens the experience that somebody has with you? That's really what we're talking about. Number 3 is look for ways to create complementary products to your book. I spoke yesterday to a client that we recently launched 2 bestsellers. His name is Josh Coates. I don't think Josh is on. I did a video. I recorded all of it, and we're going to repurpose that, but I'm going to share it with all of you because I do think it would be really helpful, but I'll give you kind of an overview. Josh is a coach in the network marketing space, and his book is a little colorful. It's F Leadership. It's F, asterisk, asterisk. You get the idea. It's a little edgy, a little colorful. It's done exceptionally well. In the first couple of months, he already has almost 80 5-star reviews. The book is done well, but what Josh did is he kind of reimagined my free plus shipping funnel for his space. So he took his book and he created some additional content. He gave away the audio version of the book, which I actually teach that you should sell the audio version of the book, but he decided to give it away, and he found giving it away along with the sale of the book on the front end, gave him a higher take rate. So I love that. I'm like, hey, good. Don't just take what I say as the gospel. Like see what your market thinks about it, what kind of adjustments you can make to really, make it, custom to your market. But the second thing they did that I thought was really creative and interesting is he said, in my space, in network marketing, there are two primary things that network marketers focus on, and that's leadership, which the book is on leadership, but the other thing is recruiting. So what Josh has is he has these two courses. One is on leadership and one is on recruiting, and they're mini courses. They're, a 5-video course, that kind of thing. We're only talking about maybe an hour of content, et cetera, but that's a course, right? You can take an hour of content and repurpose it as a complete course. Josh Coates is his name, Coats. And so what Josh decided to do is he wanted to make his first upsell the video course of leadership, because if people are buying a book on leadership, then, a video course on leadership is something that they're interested on. But what he did is, because he said people love BOGOs, buy one, get one free type deals. And they do, and I do. Who doesn't, right? I want to buy one and get one, even though all he did was jack up the price and all that. But still, it feels good, right? So what he said is, I'm going to create a BOGO, and I'm going to give away, because he has two courses. If they buy the leadership course, I'm going to throw in the recruiting course. So he has a recruiting course, because that's the big thing that they're concerned about besides leadership. And he went ahead and threw that in, and he charged $38 for that. 1 out of every 5 people that buy the book then buy the leadership course for an additional $38. Now, on the very back end of that, he has one more course that he sells for $100, and about 5 out of 100 people take him up on that. Here's where all the math works to. Now, he sells a $5,000 coaching program, and I'll let you guys, I'll give you the video so you can hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, but his business is booming. He's already done $20,000 his first 11 days this month. Business is better than ever. All of his business is online, and the book is driving all of it, better than he's ever seen. But the beautiful thing in all of it is that his leads, he's actually being paid to acquire customers because of the way he has this additional content set up with his book. And he has a really cool organic way of attracting these $5,000 coaching buyers. And I'm not going to get into those details because that's a little bit off topic of what we're sharing about. But what he's done that I thought was brilliant was he figured out, he knows his market, and he thought, what are the complementary products to my thing, right? Here's my thing. What is complementary to this that my people also want and they raise their hand for? And so he has the leadership book, but then he created the complementary recruiting stuff. He threw that in, made the value higher, and got more people to buy it. It cost him nothing to deliver this, zero to deliver it, because it's all delivered digitally, right? So you can stack the bonuses of something, give people real high quality. You may remember in the challenge, those of you that participated, I created my first upsell, which was $17. I gave the digital version of Publish, Promote, Profit. I gave the digital version of the workbook. I gave the audio book. I gave the Kickstarter program. I did throw on a lot of value. And this is stuff that I legitimately sell all together for over $100. But I threw it all in there because in one sense, it didn't cost me anything to throw it in there, right? It's all digitally delivered anyway. So the more people that I could get to raise their hand and give me $17 enabled me, because this was my goal, to take that $17 and pour it back into marketing and advertising. You may say, I don't want to pour it back into marketing and advertising. I just want to keep the 17 bucks. Totally fine, right? Nothing wrong with that. My goals were a little bit different because I had a high ticket product that I was selling on the back end. So I wanted more people coming in the big funnel. I wanted to serve more people in that way. You can choose to do this any way you want. Here's the thing. You can't do any of it though, unless you have repurposed your book, created additional products, created complementary products. And I'm telling you, more than ever, I mean, we have clients right now that are making more money than they ever have. And some of them I've had conversations with, they even feel a little bit guilty. And I've had these conversations. I even shared a little bit of it last week. You know, when you hear about some of the difficulties and challenges that people are going through right now, and you're having the best months that you've ever had, and you're making more money than you ever have before, it makes you feel a little bit weird, but it does give you a benefit of being able to serve and help those people by giving to them. If you don't have anything, you can't give. Point that I'm making is there are people making more money than they ever have before because they're focused online. They're focused on using their products and their programs, and they're turning them into e-courses, audiobooks, complementary products, etc. And by doing that, people are consuming them more than ever. And this is not a trend that will reverse, okay? It is not. It may flatten out, right? But more people are moving online to this, not less. So, in conclusion, I'm beating a dead horse in one sense, but in conclusion, write your book with additional content in mind. Now, someone's going to say, well, I wrote a children's book. Great. Create an audio version of the children's book. Can you create swag for that children's book? What additional, a children's book, come on, a children's book is like 500 words, right? It's nothing. You should be working on book 2, book 3, book 4. There should be a volume, a series of books. There's no reason, like I know I'm focused because 95% of my clients are coaches and consultants and those that are writing nonfiction books, as almost all of you are. Point that I'm making is it doesn't matter what you're writing, whether fiction, nonfiction, children's books, etc. With some creative thinking in mind, you can absolutely find additional products, programs, and all of it should be sold online, whether it's on Audible, whether it's on your own website, whether it's repurposed for content for social media, etc. This is a great, great time to be in this kind of business. It will insulate you from, additional crises like this that come up. And there are plenty of people that are saying, as we're reopening Florida and other places are beginning to reopen, there are plenty of people that are saying that we're going to go through another series of this in the winter, maybe next year, etc. I don't know if that's true or not. I certainly hope to the good Lord it is not true. But if it is, I want my business insulated. And I want you to have your business insulated. And you're going to insulate it by moving your stuff online and by focusing on creating content that people are interested in from your book that's complimentary and that's delivered to them via e-commerce. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful to you. Hopefully it makes sense. I would recommend one last thing, and that is whatever space that you are in right now, do continual research, follow people online, be in groups with people that are in the same field as you so that you can see who is successfully selling something and what is it that they're successfully selling online. And then all you have to do is repurpose your own content in your own unique way and offer it the same way others are doing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. All you have to do is see what others are doing and then put your own unique flair and spin on it. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's open it up to some questions and see how I can help you specifically either with this or with anything else you're struggling with.
Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Every week, we're posting tons more content to help you to publish, promote, and profit. So go ahead and subscribe now to the channel and click the bell icon to be notified whenever new content is available. And if you're interested in my latest book, Publish, Promote, Profit, just go to publishpromoteprofit.com.